have a one question. I have a one question. Okay, like suppose if we interact with a stranger,
Mhm.
like especially would be any language. Okay, so how to make a interest? How to make a interest conversation? Like I'm feeling okay with you. So how do we start?
How do you start a conversation? Usually, you can start a conversation. One is, of course, greetings, right? Greetings are always important. If it's informal greeting, then well, you can try to directly start with a hello and try to introduce yourself. It's a formal greeting. Go ahead with the significant greetings that are given. That is good evening, good afternoon, and whatsoever. After that, it really depends if you have something common with that person, right? You must be meeting somebody in a context. It's not like you will go and knock a person on the road and be like, talk to me. Of course, there's going to be some context, right? So if
Yes.
you're meeting somebody, let's say in a institutional, educational institution setting, right? So either you are there to teach or you are there to study or you're there for some administrative work. So one could be you asking the person that why they are here. If their purpose is
Mhm.
somewhat common to you, you find a good common ground, you start talking about that. Let's say you and that other person is studying the same subject, right?
Mhm.
That opens a whole new line of questions that you can ask the person. Now, don't interrogate too much because that can seem a little intrusive if you just go ahead
Mhm.
asking questions. Rather, you can simply, for example, ask that, okay, so why did you choose this major, right? So they might explain to you as to what their reason was. You can go ahead explaining your reason. And from then on, conversation starts to build itself, right? You don't have to put in much effort. The problem comes when you don't have any common grounds with the person, right? So in the context, so for example, you are there for some educational purpose, the other person is there only for one day for administrative purpose, right? So
Right.
if you still wish to or choose to talk to that person, you try to interrogate them in such a way that's polite, and you try to come up with some common ground on which you can talk about, right? um,
Yes.
for that, usually it's like, um, if I continue the same example, right? You might ask them that they're here for administrative work, so have they studied here or they're planning to study here. You can tell them about the college. If let's say that person says that I'm planning to study here, you can try to tell them or brief
Mhm.
them about the how the educational institution life is, right? How things go around that area, or if you could help them in any other way, you will try to do that. Usually, that's a good
Okay.
way to go about the conversation, but always make sure that you are a good receiver as well. Try to listen to the other person. It gives you a lot of cues as to whether they are interested in the conversation or not. Sometimes you are trying to make the conversation, but the other person is least bothered or least interested in it, right? Not everybody likes to be an extrovert or talk too much, right? So take the
Mhm.
signal and try to terminate the conversation in that case, right? Don't be
Okay.
too intrusive,
Oh, I see.
right?
Yeah,
That
you.
works.
Yes, 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 of course. So, ma'am,
Excellent.
I got an idea. So today we talk about casually because when I discuss any topic, I feel like something uncomfortable about topic. Yeah,
Oh, why? Let's talk about
I
that
don't know
first.
because yeah,
Why do you feel
okay,
uncomfortable?
yeah, because that moment I go to totally blank and I pressurize my mind like what should I make a story, how to I forward my answer in front of people, and sometimes I feel like nervousness because suppose if you try to say like talk about your education life, so that this is just topic casual, okay. So that moment I try to go previous and think about like how to what I do, and I try to give explanation in my mind, then I speak. So it is taking too much time, I feel uncomfortable. But if I talk about casually, okay, so casually, if you ask me casually like hi, hello, how are you, so I can extend the conversation. I try to discuss about, I try to talk about my college life, my whatever any topic, I talk. But if someone specify any particular topic like hey man, we discuss about this thing, I go to blank that moment. I don't know why this is. Maybe I have some problems.
No, it just
Yeah.
simply means that you need a lot more practice on that front because See, that is the art of communication, right? You should be able to speak even if you don't like the topic,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you're going to be in conditions where you're not going to
Right,
enjoy
right.
the discussion, but yet you need to participate in it. Not every conversation is likely to go in the direction that you want to talk in. So then you have two things,
Yes,
right? One, you terminate the conversation for yourself and you get out of that group, right? But if you choose to
yes,
stay there and if you choose to be a part of it, then you need to talk regardless of you liking the topic or not liking it. So if a certain topic is
right.
making you uncomfortable, that means there is um, less practice on the imagination part, right? Communication
Mhm.
comes with a lot. Whenever you're trying to make a communication with someone, when you're trying to establish a communication with somebody, it comes with a lot of imagination in terms of you being able to imagine your past experiences, being able to recall your past experiences, being able to imagine what you might do in that situation in the future or in the present itself,
Mhm.
right? So you need to work on that creative part of communication if you really wish to be like a full-fledged good communicator. Because when I talk like casually you can talk about 100 things, right? um,
Mhm.
but you are going to be in formal settings also. Not all settings are going to be informal where the topic doesn't matter, you're just like blabbering and talking about stuff, right? There are going to be formal settings where there is a particular agenda of the meeting or the setting that you need to follow, right? So there
Mhm.
you need to use your creative skills to make an impression, to make a
Okay.
communication in such a smooth way that others also enjoy when you're talking, right? So there the
Yes.
creativity part really matters. So if you're getting nervous, I think you should emphasize more on talking about topics, right? Because that's a
Right,
good
right.
practice for you, right? You should be able to imagine, regardless of how dumb the topic is. Even if, let's say, sometimes the topics on Clapingo are really silly, they seem really silly because they are very situation based. For example, today's topic, right? Today's topic is retirement plans. Now, you are nowhere
Okay.
near to retirement, you're far, far away from retirement, but you should be able to imagine, right? That what you want to do.
Okay.
There has to be some goal that you might want to do at that time. Like if I say what you want to
Mhm.
do at 60, there needs to be some idea that comes to your head. You should be able to imagine and reply, right?
Mhm.
Because this is a very
Yeah,
general,
right.
if you ask me, I mean, retirement plans, that's a very general topic. It comes up like even when we are talking with friends, a lot of times we discuss about future. We have certain plans for it, right?
Yes, yes, right.
So being able to formulate things on spot is actually what you should be trying to focus on or practice more, right? Because you will not get
Yeah,
any preparation time for conversations ever.
exactly. You know, I do not practice more. Like a whole day, I just enjoy my local environment. That's why reason I do not get a more stories, more partner, and that's why my communication is not doing good. But if we talk about
Ah,
whoever living with that kind of environment, those people always feel as a piece of cake, if I'm not wrong, because
hmm.
they believe that this is my mother tongue language, this is my things. If I not use, so I would be become a joke. Means not jokes. I would be like not doing well. So those people always speak rapidly, like clearly. But if you talk
Yeah.
about my side, ma'am, like I don't have a people, I don't have a proper environment. Whole day I just spend my local language and local time. Like I'm living in here like slum area, so here is nobody speaking a language. So that's the reason I'm getting a too much problem. But regular basis,
Ah,
I do practice. I try to mumble myself. I listen more and I try to attend the sessions. So I do, something for my improvement, and
uh-huh.
I'm learning that kind of thing. Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Like because in India, I mean, I can say that here it is very difficult to find an environment where everyone is talking in English, because mostly people prefer to talk in their mother tongues. Like if you ask me, also when I'm with my friends, most of us prefer to talk in Hindi. Yes, we do use English
Okay.
here and there, but if I'm having informal conversations, we all prefer to have it in Hindi, right? So yeah, to find an environment where you can speak English all the time is very tough. So it's better to build an environment for yourself. Like you said, that sometimes you try to practice with yourself. You will try to read something aloud or you try to watch something in English. That in itself is a good amount of practice. What you can try to do is, one thing I usually suggest in such cases is that before going to bed, try to make an audio diary on a daily basis, right? So like 3 to 5 minutes, just 3 to 5 minutes. Try to record something. You can talk about your day, what did you do from morning to evening, or you can talk about anything in general. You can talk about a particular movie that you watched recently, right? Just 3 to 4 minutes, right? Small
Okay.
recordings on a daily basis before going to bed, right? So
Mm-hmm.
do it at that time. Try to listen to your own recordings, because when you listen to your own recordings, you can make out the mistakes, right? That this is where I am lacking. Or like when you listen to yourself speaking, for example, if I'm speaking right now and I make a tense mistake, you can notice it, right? So
Uh-huh.
similarly, you can do with your audios, right? So listening to your own audios, you will be able to make out the mistakes that you are making, right? Once you start doing that, it stays in your head that these are the areas where I make mistakes. So when you're talking, you will try not to make
Uh-huh.
those mistakes because you're aware of your mistakes, right? So you can try to do this
Yeah.
activity. I'm sure you will see some amount of change in 10 to 12 days, right? But given that you're practicing on a
Okay.
daily basis, make very small recordings. No need to practice for 20, 30 minutes, not like that. Just 3 to 4 minute recording and try to listen
Mm-hmm.
to your recording and make out the mistakes that you're making, right? It will improve your grammar
Okay.
as well as your spoken ability, right? Because every day when you're trying to
Okay.
talk about something different, it will be a good practice as well as to talking about new topics,
Yes, yes, right.
right? So that
Yeah.
can be a little more helpful, I would say, right?
Okay.
But what do
So
you like?
if I
Yeah,
do all activities, yeah.
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm
What do you
asking if I do that kind of all activities, so will I get some result like benefit?
Yeah, you will. That's
Whatever
what I
you
said.
mentioned that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I would say you have to do it consistently, right? The consistency matters. You need to
Consistency.
practice on a daily basis. If you're doing it on a
Uh-huh.
daily basis, you're likely to see good changes in about 10 to 12 days, I would say. Good changes in
Okay.
the sense that you will start noticing your own mistakes. You will start to see that there were certain mistakes that you were making on a regular basis that you're not making now, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that can be
Okay.
a little beneficial. Also, what type of content you watch, that also matters. What do you usually like to watch?
Always I prefer to podcasts.
Podcast, okay.
Podcasts like English videos. Then
Mm-hmm.
after that, I go with some documentary films and Hollywood movies. Yeah.
Ah. There is a channel called Speak English with Vanessa. Try to check out her videos. She gives a lot of basic tips about how you can improve your English, and all the videos are in English. So it will be a good content practice, as well as some videos might help you in, kind of planning as to how you should improve your own English, right? So you can easily find it on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel by
So
this name.
what? Okay.
It's in the chat section.
Vanessa. Vanessa. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Vanessa. Okay.
right.
Okay. Okay.
Also, TEDx
Okay.
talks,
Definitely.
they can be really helpful. TEDx talks in English, the English versions, and try to listen to, I would say, more foreign speakers because they are speaking the full video in English. With Indian speakers,
Uh-huh.
they use a lot of Hindi as well. So the purpose gets defeated there. So that's
Yes.
the thing. What type of podcast do you listen to, by the way?
Yeah. Always I prefer to like some topics. Means if I give example, do you know Raj Samani? Do you know Raj Samani and Be a
No.
Bicep? They
Ah,
are
Beer
like
Biceps,
famous.
yeah, yeah. Ranveer show, to yeah, he has a